Welcome back to the grind for a quick video on this wave Somnus. Now they're calling it the Resurrection Wave, which is wave 2 previously. Now it just contains a Resurrection Dragon, not other seasonal dragons, because they're trying to make less legendary dragons that won't be used, and they're trying to bring back dragons that previously are no longer used and make them a little bit better. So Somnus is the dragon of choice this time, and as they're explaining here, he leads the first ever Resurrection Wave, which is replacing the formerly known Wave 2. And along with this, you're also going to get the Cosmic Orrery branch, a mini one, so you get some extra resources for the Cosmic Orrery, and tower levels are going up with fortification to 128 to 130. And the Resurrection Wave content will have a 20% increase in prizes for the first 2 weeks of its release, and then it will go down, which we've seen in the past. So let's take a look at Somnus. The branch will contain all the stones you need to get them up to max tier, and it also has 6 keys and 2 ascension tokens costing 37.5 sigils. They did make some adjustments to Somnus to make him fare a little bit better in the more current meta of the game. So Soul Barrage, an active white 1 rage spell, fires 5 projectiles at randomly chosen towers. Each projectile deals 16% dragon HP as damage. And then we have Death Knell, which is the main flashy spell of this dragon, but you can only use it every 11 seconds, which they did decrease from 15 seconds, which is nice. It's a red 2 rage spell that deals 11.5% of the dragon's HP as damage to nearby towers. You gain 100% HP back and 5 rage back, and you become immune to mage tower super shots. So you can't be mage drained for the duration of the spell, which is 2 seconds. So it's basically puts you back to full health and rage and protects you from mage drains for 2 seconds. So it's kind of your last ditch effort if you're about to die, and you can use it every 11 seconds now, which is pretty good. If you can anchor with a tower, you can use it almost every major island cluster potentially, and maybe not if you're using it on a small island. You probably don't have it up in time to enter the longer island, but by the time you are finishing with that island, it should be active again. So more frequent use of that is great, so that you can kind of sustain yourself throughout the fight. And then we have Ectoplasma Breath, which is a white 0 rage spell that increases dragon attack for for 4 seconds. So your regular shots are going to do more damage for 4 seconds, and it's going to inflict a damage over time effect on the buildings, and it's going to deal 1.5% of the dragon's HP as damage every second for 3 seconds. And it doesn't appear to have a cooldown, so you can constantly activate that every 4 seconds so that your breath attacks are dealing more damage than they normally would, plus adding that damage over time effect to help continue to deal damage more consistently. And remember, you're throwing in Soul Barrage every so often. It does have a 1 rage cost, but there's no cooldown. So if you're really close to taking out some towers, you can just hit that a couple times to finish them off. And it is a white spell, so that's nice. And then the last spell is just a passive Dark Flack resist. So you take much less damage from Dark Flack. So you don't want to target that Dark Flack right away. But really, most of the spells are random choice. So you have that going for you. So with this dragon, what you want to do is you want to activate Auto Fight so that you are constantly throwing your regular breath attacks without having to constantly swipe on the screen, unless you want to focus on a certain select of towers. You do want to be careful, because when you're activating your spells, if you tap too quickly or in slightly the wrong spot, you'll deactivate that auto swiping. But what you want to do when you enter the island is you're going to want to make sure Ectoplasma Breath is active, and you're going to activate Soul Barrage. You might even want to use it a couple times so that you can burst down a couple towers. By that point, since you have no shield, you're likely getting hit by a Mage Drain, maybe an Ice Flack super shot, maybe a big wave of damage is coming in from the back islands. So you're going to want to spam your Soul Barrages probably quickly and then activate Death Knell, and you're going to have 2 seconds of protection with that spell from specifically Mage Drain effects, but not from damage effects. But you are going to be back at full health and full rage. Now, the interesting thing is you have to use Death Knell before you get Mage Drains because it does cost 2 rage. Now, it is a red spell, but you can still activate it even though a red mage is present, and you can still get your health and rage back. The only thing is, with the red mage, anything protected by a red mage will not take damage. So I guess how I more likely envision this going is you have to come around the corner, activate Soul Barrage 3 times quickly if you can get that in before you're losing too much health, or before you're going to get hit by a Mage Drain. Because if you activate it 3 times, then you can use Death Knell still because you've got 2 rage left, and then you're back up to full rage and full health. Hopefully that took out a few towers, and then you've got 2 seconds of protection from Mage Drain to swipe down the remaining mage towers. But again, you're left exposed to damage because this dragon doesn't have any specific shield spells. So that's where you're going to have to be careful, and maybe even equip a shield spell if you have a slot available. And then again, 11 seconds later, you can use Death Knell again. But really, this is kind of a dragon where you kind of come in, lay it all out there, and hope that you can burst everything down. And then whatever's left over, you're hoping that you can kind of just swipe them down with Ectoplasma, Breath active, and maybe an extra Soul Barrage here or there to finish off the towers while you're waiting for Death Knell to come back active again. So the type of runes, glyphs, and rider that you're going to want on this dragon is you're going to want to focus on HP, primarily HP, because all of the spells scale based on HP. The more HP you have, the more damage you're going to be dealing with your spells. So you want to focus on HP, and then after that, you're probably going to want to get as much rage as possible, because when Death Knell is active, you want to be able to cycle through Soul Barrage a few times, and having extra rage regeneration will get you to that extra bar of rage quicker, and that will allow you to then maybe finish off a tower or 2 with those extra projectiles. So not necessarily a dragon I would consider viable at end game or high levels with defenders, but a fun dragon nonetheless. One of the dragons that I recall players being the most fond of because it was just so fun to fly. And for lower level or developing players or mid-tier players, probably going to be able to put in some work for you on bases, especially short islands, blowing up short islands, and then finishing off. Definitely a dragon that would work well if you're planning to fly multiple dragons, because you can go in and, kind of unload all your spells, use Death Knell, and then unload more spells, and deal as much damage as you can to weaken the base, and then kind of go through and clean up. So that's a potential use for this dragon as well. So let me know what your thoughts are. If you had him previously, if you regretted not having him previously and are excited to get him now, I'm excited to see your comments in the section below. I know I'm not as active in responding to comments because that takes a lot of time, but I do still want to see feedback in the comments section so that I can take a look at that and others can benefit as well. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.